Hello everyone, welcome to Desert Succulent, and today we're going to be featuring our Echeveria Neon Breaker. This is an eye-catching succulent because of the different contrast that it provides sa kanyang color. And at the same time, it has this neon effect, especially under bright light. Another unique thing about this succulent is yung kanyang crinkled na leaves. You would notice na yung kanyang leaves are medyo parang wavy sa gilid-gilid. It's not really symmetrical. Hindi siya pantay-pantay. It's just randomly na talagang nagwi-wave siyang ganyan. And also, if we're gonna look at the color, in the middle, it's more on the greenish na side. And as it goes outside, it has this blue-green na leaves. And at the same time, it has this parang bright pink na leaf margins. And sometimes it's really more on the purple side. It depends on the angle, but you would really see na may pagka light purple siya. And at the same time, it has this pink na leaf margins. And also, this succulent is coated with farina. Ayan siya. And I've been touching it earlier. Nahawakan ko siya and I will try to show it to you. Ayan, so we just remove yung kanyang farina and it would look like that. It's okay that we are doing this one kasi ito naman yung pinaka-outer na leaf niya and sooner or later, this will dry, magiging ganito na siya and eventually dies. Ayan, so if for example, you are gonna buy your succulents, you always have to focus sa pinaka-rosette. It should be healthy dyan sa pinakataas and we should not focus too much sa outer or yung mga bottom leaves niya. Kasi yung ating mga succulents, they have this life cycle kung saan nga na darating talaga yung time na magdadry and mamamatay yung kanyang bottom leaves. So, that's pretty normal. Just focus talaga sa pinakagitna. When watering our neon breakers, we have to take into account some few factors. Una nga dyan, yung ating general weather conditions in your area. So, kasi this would have an effect on the soil drying speed. So, for example, in the lowland areas, mas mabilis mag-dry yung inyong mga soil as compared dito sa Baguio or sa highland areas. Next is the different seasons of the year. So, we only have like 2 seasons dito sa Pilipinas and that could actually play a big role in watering our neon breaker. So, for example, during summer, we really need to water them more often as compared nga ngayon na medyo taglamig. In general, you have to water your succulents if the soil is already dry. And for me, I do water them every 1 week or sometimes 2 weeks. Doon ko sila dinidiligan using yung ating soak and dry na method. It is best if we underwatered our neon breaker as compared if we overwatered it since it's easier to fix pag underwatered lang yung inyong mga succulents. When it comes to selecting the right soil for our neon breakers, all we really need is to provide a high quality succulent soil mix that provides yung ating great drainage since ayaw nilang nasusok sa wet soil. A good soil mix will ensure that our succulent or itong ating neon breaker will not be holding too much water for a long period of time and it will also give a healthier environment for it to grow in. You can make use of any soil mix that you want as long as it is well draining, and for me, I will be using the same soil mix as I've been using before since matagal ko na siyang ginagamit and proven effective naman siya. Mainly, this one is a combination of yung ating mga compost, you have yung dried sticks, ipa ng bigas, you also have yung broken pieces nitong ating clay pots. I also added some Osmocote fertilizer for added nutrition sa ating neon breaker once we repot it dito mamaya. This succulent can grow just fine both indoors and outdoors as long as we will be providing the right amount of light and yung watering then. If we will be growing this outdoors, it is best if we will grow it in partial sunlight for 5 to 6 hours a day. But we have to remember that the more intense the light, the more neon this succulent will become. And as you can see in this one, it's a little bit stressed. Hindi pa siya fully stressed, but you will really see nga yung pagka-pinkish and purple na itsura niya, especially sa kanyang leaf margins. But if we will be exposing it sa ating sunlight, we don't need to overdo it kasi if we will just be providing it at least 5 hours as long as it's quality sunlight, then you will not have any trouble growing itong ating neon breaker outdoors. And in my case, hindi ko sila nilalagay dun sa ating rain or shine na succulent area kasi when I tried to do that before, medyo naging saggy yung kanyang leaves. Hindi siya masyadong firm as compared nung nilagay lang natin siya dun sa full filtered sunlight natin na mini greenhouse sa rooftop. The ideal temperature for us to grow itong ating mga neon breaker is between 15 degrees to 26 degrees Celsius. So dito sa Baguio, we can easily achieve that kind of temperature, but in the lowland areas kung saan na umaabot up to 30 or 38 degrees sometimes yung inyong mga temperatures, then you have to be more cautious in exposing this to our sunlight since we are trying to avoid nga yung ating sunburn. If we will be growing this one indoors, we won't be having any problem as long as we will be providing roughly the same amount of light indoors as we can provide them outside. So that is possible, and you can achieve that if we will be putting this in a sunny windowsill wherein it can receive nga yung 5 or 6 hours of sunlight every day. But just in case that it won't be receiving that kind of sufficient sunlight, then it's ideal that you're gonna be using grow lights if talagang hindi nyo siya pwedeng i-grow outdoors or walang masyadong source of sunlight sa inyong window area. Itong succulent na to really requires light, and if you're growing it indoors, then you have to make sure that it's getting the light it needs, or else you will be expecting that the color won't be intensified and at the same time mag-ethiolate din siya indoors. There are many ways on how we could propagate our neon breakers, and it's actually pretty easy as it can be using yung offsets, yung stem cuttings natin, and leaves. I haven't tried yung stem cuttings natin before, but that is the easiest way to propagate this succulent since we will just simply cut it. You can check our previous vlogs about stem cuttings or beheading succulents. The second way of propagating this is through yung mga offsets. So if for example may nakita kayong offsets na tumutubo usually sa pinakababa, then you can just simply separate that one. For our neon breaker right now, I tried to check on it pero wala pa siyang offsets. And the third one is through yung ating leaves. I have tried propagating this succulent using yung ating leaves and I was really successful of propagating it. Medyo matagal nga lang, but still, it's really worth it to see na slowly lumalaki yung inyong mga neon breakers. Another thing is yung kanyang toxicity. Itong ating mga neon breakers is considered to be completely pet safe, so we really don't need to worry about this succulent being around most pets and even around our kids. In addition, I will be showing to you two different neon breakers that I have. This is our neon breaker that is infested with mealybugs. Punong-puno ito ng mealybugs before, since we will be using this para sa ating vlog about mealybugs. But habang tumatagal, nawawala yung mga mealybugs. I don't know kung saan sila nagpunta. Kasi the last time I checked, as in punong-puno ito ng mga mealybugs. White na white talaga, even yung under ng kanyang leaves. But right now, when I tried to check it, nawala yung mga mealybugs. Hindi ko alam kung saan sila napunta. We still have, ayan, nakikita nyo naman, we still have yung mga mealybugs. But it's not as many as it used to be. But you would notice that this neon breaker is continuously thriving. Tingnan nyo yung sa gitna niya. It looks very healthy. We will just be focusing dito. In fact, you can see nga yung kanyang stress na color, especially nga na lumalamig na ngayon. So probably because of the cold stress, since this one is not receiving full sunlight, nasa shaded area siya. So probably because of the cold temperature, kaya siya nagkaroon ng ganyang stress na color. And you would see, even if na pinabayaan natin itong succulent na to, there is a growing offset doon sa pinakababa. This succulent will continuously grow even if yung kanyang living environment is not really conducive for growing. And also I have here a neon breaker na may cuttings. This one was also infested with mealybugs, but as you can see, nag-iisa na lang yata yung mealybug dito. This one is already dead, completely dead na siya kasi hindi natin siya diniligan, wala siya sa soil. And you would really see, ito yung pinaka ilalim niya, dry na siya. So this one has no more chance of survival since yung kanyang roots, yung kanyang stem, and even yung kanyang leaves have completely dried out na. Punong-puno ito ng mealybugs dati, but since nag-dry na yung ating neon breaker, Probably they also died kasama nga nung pagkamatay nitong ating neon breaker, and we only have one survivor doon. So eventually mamamatay na din siguro yan. But for this, we will be throwing it away since hindi na natin siya mapapakinabangan. Lastly, we will be repotting this one. But before we do our repotting, we will be doing nga yung ating grooming. So we will just be removing itong ating mga lower leaves. If magtatanggal kayo ng inyong mga nursery na black pots na ganito, all you need to do is here, you can just simply insert your fingers there, then just pull it away para mas madali ninyong tanggalin. Ayan, so medyo basa pa siya. And yung kanyang roots has already reached the bottom part. As I mentioned earlier, it's okay that you're gonna be having these kind of marks, especially sa mga bottom part ng inyong leaves. This will eventually die and it won't really matter. We just finished repotting our neon breaker and it would look like this as of now. We will just be putting this in a bright shaded area for the next 2 weeks. And also yung kanyang watering will be after 2 weeks. I just showed you yung ating reality versus expectation way of repotting our succulents. Hindi ko masyadong binibaby yung aking mga succulents. As long as we will be providing yung kanilang basic needs as a succulent, then they will grow healthily. You would also notice na malaki na yung ating neon breaker as compared sa pinaglagyan nating clay pot, but that would be fine. If you will be putting them in a smaller container, then yung kanilang growth would be slower as compared if ilalagay natin sila sa mas malaking container, then you would be expecting na yung kanilang growth would also be bigger. That's all for our neon breaker. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also visit our Facebook page at Desert Succulent PH.